So this book, actually, I've been working on it for several years. It's a book on change, and it has been changing in the 8 years I've been working on it. Thus, it's never finished. That's one of the problems with impermanence. Um, and it's not just a joke, it's the truth. Let's see, where is that passage here? Yeah, anyway, the title of the book, and it changes all the time as well. Not the same river. Mindfulness, impermanence, and the power of change. That's the title. And one of the points I make here in this manuscript is about how, as much as we might feel like compassion is difficult, that we're struggling with old patterns and things that are feel like we're revisiting them over and over again, that make it hard to sort of expand the heart, turn it into the good heart that is fundamentally spacious. There is a story from a lovely folk tale from ancient China called Seven Taoist Masters. I think Eva Wong is the translator who translated the version from the Chinese. And this passage follows one of seven monks who goes wandering in the world. So these are thought to be the originators of the seven schools of Taoism. And this one, the one that I'm going to read to you, and I paraphrase the story, so this is part of my manuscript. Changchun is the name. And those of you who speak Chinese, let me know if I'm pronouncing it right or if I need to change it. Changchun, Changchun. And I don't want to pronounce it wrongly. So I know we have a couple of folks on here who speak Chinese, but anyway, Changchun. That's how I'm going to say it, unless I'm okay. Thank you, Elsie.
Changchun?
Huh?
Changchun?
Changchun.
Chang?
Oh, CHU. Here, I'll put it in the chat. I've wondered for years exactly how. Oh yeah, Chang. You're right. Yes.
Changchun, is this the name of a city?
No, it's actually the name of a monk in this story, but it may be a city.
Oh,
I don't know.
okay.
How do
So
I
it's
pronounce that, Wendy?
Chang. Okay.
Yeah, Chang.
You know what? There are four tones for each character of Chinese. So I needed to know, you know what I'm saying? So like it's hard for me. You
Okay,
can just say
no
Changchun
worries.
right now, I think.
That's fine. Let's just say that. So I don't know what the tones would be here, but Changchun, I'll just say that, and you know who I'm
Okay.
talking about. All
Okay.
right. Thank you. Thanks for trying. Okay, what happened to my text here? So it's a little long. So you can just, if you have a cup of tea with you or any kind of beverage, sitting back and one day, in the midst of Changchun's wanderings, he comes upon the home of an old fortune teller. The old man greets him, and after looking deeply into the monk's face, the fortune teller explains that Changchun is destined to die of starvation and will therefore not attain the Tao during his lifetime. Despondent upon hearing this prediction, Changchun leaves the man's home and resigns himself to his fate. He is eager, in fact, to live out his destiny quickly and with as little suffering as possible. And so he finds an isolated spot by a river deep within a canyon, where he sits and waits to die of hunger and thirst. Despite his efforts, however, his training in the Tao has made him strong, and he simply does not weaken. Eventually, a flash flood appears and engulfs the canyon, and as it rages towards him, Changchun instead resigns himself to drown in the fury of its waters. but he is unmoved by the water's force. And I didn't include this, but in the text, there is a peach floating on the water, and it comes towards him. And of course, he gets hungry. He has been hungry because he's been trying to starve himself. And so he devours the peach, which is often a symbol of longevity and well-being. And it also has spiritual connotations to it as well. So anyway, he is unmoved. And soon after, he leaves the canyon to seek out another way to carry out his fate. More attempts follow. After further wandering in the wilderness, he discovers a cave where he settles in and begins to starve himself for a second time. Two robbers passing by come upon him there, and they see that he is a holy man. Despite Changchun's objections, the robbers admonish him for his efforts and force him to eat to keep him from dying. Changchun is again foiled in his attempts, and he leaves them in frustration once more, setting off on his own and doubly determined to carry out his fate without further interference. And so he soon finds a tall tree deep in the forest and climbs high up into its branches, intent to die there without prolonging his destiny any longer. The earth god, however, witnesses the monk's actions and alerts the Lord of the Heavens, who takes the form of an herb gatherer and appears at the bottom of the tree. The herb gatherer calls to Changchun and asks him, why would you seek to end your life? He then listens intently as the despairing monk tells his story. When Changchun finishes, the herb gatherer sits down on a rock and asks him to join him by his side. He explains to Changchun that what reveals one's fate is not what is written in the lines of his or her face, or what is foretold by a man claiming to see others' fortunes, but rather that one's path relies on what exists within his mind or her mind. I will change that, actually, or their mind. It is on the face of your mind that true destiny is written, the herb gatherer tells him. And the major determinant of this destiny is within the heart. He explains that only the nature of one's own efforts can dictate the outcome of their life, and that this alone decides whether or not Changchun will experience enlightenment in this lifetime. Immortality, the herb gatherer explains, is in the reach of everyone, and it is up to our own efforts to make it a reality. Upon hearing these words, Changchun realizes his own foolishness in having been misled by the folly of his own mind. He had been held captive by his own beliefs about his destiny, about his perceived inability to choose the path ahead of him. With a clearer, more expanded awareness, his life and everything around him now suddenly began to take on a new light. And so, thanking the herb gatherer, the grateful monk leaves the forest with renewed inspiration. From then on, he applies himself to gaining immortality, which he eventually achieves along with great success as a teacher of the way. There is an epilogue here. I'm going to read this as well, because you'll probably go, well, what happened to the fortune teller? Well, I'll tell you. Several years later, Changchun finds his way back to the home of the old fortune teller, intent on exposing him. Not a very enlightened thing to do, possibly, but anyway, clearly there was still some residue there. The old man looks deeply into the monk's face, vaguely recognizing him and unable to place him, until Changchun reminds him of his prediction. As the fortune teller begins to remember, the monk tells him he had been wrong about what he had foreseen. After all, not only did Changchun not die of starvation, but he attained enlightenment in his lifetime. Laughing, the fortune teller explained that upon his last visit, the monk's face had indeed borne the marks of someone on a path to death by starvation, but those characteristics have since gone. Now the monk bears the qualities of one who is immortal and will inherit a great monastery with many students who will spread his teachings across many lands. Changchun's understanding of what the herb gatherer had told him was now even more fully complete. With a change of heart, the tendencies of the mind also change. Like the features on one's face, the way ahead relies upon the intentions within the heart, which itself is changeable. Destiny is therefore not determined by heaven, but comes into being through one's tendencies and the actions we take. Changing these alters the path.